After the 27 update, Konami has added a new playstyle to eFootball this time, but this isn't a playstyle for any specific position, and the name of this playstyle is Overload. The job of the Overload playstyle is to bring more players together at a specific area of the field at once to break down the opponent's defensive structure, but the real question is Overload really a game changer, or is it just as risky to use in a match as it looks dangerous? And the most interesting thing is, matching this playstyle, Konami has given us a manager, Frank Lampard, for free. So today we won't just learn what Overload is. Instead, we'll analyze how this playstyle works, when it's most effective, its advantages and disadvantages, and whether playing with the Overload playstyle actually makes sense for a free-to-play player. Everything in today's video. So, let's break down Overload. First, you should understand what the core concept of the Overload playstyle actually is. In very simple terms, several of your players will come together at a specific area of the field so that numerical superiority is created there compared to the opponent. That means suppose one of your players has the ball in front of the opponent's defensive line. In a normal situation, you might have two players there, but in the case of Overload, more players from around will come into that zone to support you. As a result, in a small area, you can create 2 versus 3, 3 versus 4, or numerical advantage, and using this numerical advantage, creating a gap in the opponent's defensive structure through short passing is the main purpose of the Overload playstyle. Now, some of you might wonder, is this only an attacking playstyle? This is the most interesting part of Overload. Many might think this is purely an attacking playstyle, but that's not the whole picture. Overload's behavior affects all three phases: possession, attacking, and defending. That means even when you're losing the ball or regaining it, you'll see Overload's influence in player positioning and movement. If you want attacking support from this playstyle, during attacks, Overload can be your biggest strength, from which you can get numerical superiority support. That means team strength can help you enormously, because the system will try to bring multiple players around the ball. Then through short passing, you can create small combinations and try to break the opponent's defensive block. You can especially fight against a defensive setup where the opponent is playing compact with many players in the middle, because by bringing more players into one area, you're forcing the defender to make a decision. Will he press the ball carrier or mark the nearby runner? And this is where that gap can be created. However, if you want to play only with attacking or a fast, quick counter style using Overload, there's a big risk, because Overload's biggest problem is attack pressing. If you bring extra players into one zone, naturally other areas of the field can become relatively empty. Suppose because of Overload, all your players leave their positions and come to one specific spot, then naturally your defense will become empty, meaning the opponent can exploit this defensive weakness and score against you. So Overload will indeed give you numerical advantage in attack, but in exchange you may have to sacrifice space elsewhere. So this isn't a playstyle you can use blindly and easily win matches. You need to understand when to use Overload and when to quickly switch to the other side using the space created by that Overload. Now let's move to another interesting behavior of Overload. In match, when you lose the ball, nearby players will quickly try to regain the ball. That means after losing the ball, nearby players will aggressively press to try to win it back quickly. This can be considered very important for this playstyle, because if you create an Overload in the opponent's half and attack, and lose the ball there, nearby players can immediately start pressing. As a result, there's an opportunity to intercept the ball before the opponent can start a counterattack. And when you're able to intercept the ball, nearby teammates will support you to create an attack. Their priority will be to hold possession and create nearby passing options. That means even after regaining the ball, you won't be left alone. Players around you will keep creating passing options so you can build up an attack again. Now let's move to the most important aspect of Overload: defensive behavior. When the opponent attacks with the ball on a specific side, your team will try to defend by bringing more players toward that side. Basically, the job of the Overload playstyle is to break the opponent's counterattack using team strength and save you from conceding a goal. Usually, many players coming together create a lot of pressure to stop the opponent's attack. That means even in the defensive phase, there will be an attempt to create numerical advantage around the ball. And the most interesting thing is, when the ball is high up the field, the whole team can show aggressive pressing behavior. That means Overload doesn't just gather players near the ball. Depending on the situation, it can also try to quickly regain the ball through high press. Now the most important question: who should use Overload? In my opinion, this playstyle can be most interesting for those who prefer possession-based, short passing, and combination football. But to put it simply, overload basically means creating a lot of defensive pressure on the opponent's attack after you're leading by 1 goal. When the opponent's striker enters to attack your D-box, right then several of your players will come together and mark that forward, creating pressure to break down the attack. However, when you're attacking, you'll similarly get team support, which is numerical superiority. All things considered, overload seems like an interesting new tactical system to me. Numerical superiority around the ball, short passing combinations, aggressive regain after losing the ball, and ball-side pressure in the defensive phase. Altogether, it has a distinct identity. Since they're giving Frank Lampard for free, this new playstyle could be good for new users or free-to-play players. In my opinion, Konami has mainly introduced this new playstyle to bring in novelty so that users find it more interesting. Do let me know in the comments how you like this playstyle. If you enjoyed the video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe to the channel right now to get more such great gaming tips and analysis video content. See you in another video.